Pray forgive me. I was delayed.
It's fine, Urianger. We're all here now.
Let's get down to business then, shall we? Come what may, we must prevent the Telophoroi's plans from coming to fruition. At present, I see two paths for gathering the information which may aid us in achieving that goal. The first involves an investigation into the change which has come over Sharlayan, not to mention the recent inscrutable behavior of the Forum. As most of you know, the 99 members of the Forum are elected from the general populace. This alone guarantees a plethora of opinion with regards to foreign policy. The bibliotheques, for example, are a group of conservatives which would have Sharlayan focus on recording history, while remaining entirely uninvolved in the making of it. And at the other extreme, we have advocates for proactive diplomacy and direct intervention. My grandfather Galef was one such member, as was Archon Louisois. Yet despite our diverse factions and philosophies, the recent vote to deny Eorzea's request for assistance was unanimous. Even more concerning was the fact that many cited other, more pressing duties as justification for their recalcitrance.
Fortuno's refusal in Gridania had those same undertones. 'Twas as if, having stared unblinking into the face of impending doom, he had simply turned away to pursue something more important. But what could that possibly be?
A mystery indeed, and one which I ask for your help to solve. Our future may depend on it. As for our second potential path, it concerns a request made directly to the students of Baldessian. Our organization was founded primarily to study strange and unexplained phenomena the world over. Mysterious relics and ruins, arcane disturbances, and so forth. Compared to our more isolationist Sharlayan colleagues, we have strong connections overseas, namely with scholars and academics who share our passion for the unknown. The request in question comes from one such acquaintance, Nidana, an alchemist residing in distant Thavnair. Her missive describes the sudden appearance of a tower, and the subsequent summoning of what I can only assume is a lunar primal. In response to this threat, the satrap of Radzat-Han, the individual who governs the city-state, has instructed the alchemists to find a means to deal with the spire.
The artisans of that land are heirs to an ancient tradition, one rather unlike that of their Uldan counterparts. It is possible, nay, probable, that they have gleaned truths unattainable by Eorzea or her Far Eastern allies.
They do, in fact, appear to have a strategy in mind, though it will require further research. To that end, they have requested an introduction to a capable warrior shielded by the blessing of light.
Assuming we divide our forces to pursue both of Kral's lines of inquiry, then having you join the group heading to Thavnair would seem the obvious choice. But the investigation in Sharlayan is of vital importance as well. Equal, I think, to the Thavnairian one, given that the fate of the world may hinge on the results of...
Yes, it is quite the quandary. Though it is a great imposition and an altogether too common one, our efforts would be more likely to succeed were you to lead the charge on both fronts. You are indeed our champion. As to which task to tackle first, we will defer to your decision. Let us next decide how everyone else might best be assigned. As for myself, I shall continue what I've begun in Sharlayan. I should...
And thereby gain access to a greater range of reading material. I will help with that.
Allow me to offer my assistance. I have some small amount of experience in the field of research.
Alize and I would also like to help, if you would have us.
Anything to understand even a fraction of what our father and the Forum might be thinking.
Of course! The more the merrier.
Right. The rest of us will make the journey to Thavner. Thoughts? Objections?
I passed through Thavner on my way to infiltrate the Empire, and though I'm not qualified to give a guided tour, I did gain a sense of where things lie.
I'll be happy to have you along then. So for this group, it will be you, me, and Urianger.
Give me a moment afterwards, and I'll supply you with all the details of Nadana's request. Consider this hall our rendezvous point once our respective tasks are complete. May our investigations prove fruitful.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Charlian? Graham said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy. To keep us at arm's length, perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been. How being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently. They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos. A vast complex beneath the island, Charlian is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait! Didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners... If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves. And this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
Ugh. Did you call to me just now? No. How? I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
Fair shot. Let me truss this one up, and I'll make my way over to you.
There you are. Any new revelations?
So you met with that gleaner again, this time to capture a hornbill. I understand catching and bringing in creatures from the outside, but what's the point of chasing after ones already here?
Oh, it's a simple thing, really. Occasionally, we remove specimens no longer needed for study, or those we've had difficulty raising. But we can't simply turn them loose. Safely returning such creatures to their native habitats is another facet of a gleaner's duties. But not in this case, I'm afraid. I've been asked to bring the bird below.
The restricted section in the lower levels of Labyrinthos. Open only to a select few researchers handpicked by the Forum. The projects down there are the subject of rumor and hearsay. Forbidden magics. Advanced technologies that can never be allowed to fall into outside hands. Even Archons are not privy to the truth. Those who are, the researchers involved in this secretive work, are not permitted to walk freely in the city, and are instead required to live in isolated quarters.
What could a facility subject to such strict security protocols possibly need with a hornbill? An experiment?
Possibly. I wasn't afforded an explanation. But judging by the requisition list given to me and my colleagues, I doubt it. I'd be more inclined to believe we were making preparations to migrate to the south.
What? Why would you say that?
Much of the flora and fauna we were asked to procure they're comparatively hardy species too, able to endure harsh climates. And among them are...
When you put it that way, migration does sound like a reasonable assumption.
That's all it is, though. An assumption. Through our tasks, we gleaners glimpse only bits and pieces of the Forum's plans. Our prime concern is that our requisitions, be they living or otherwise, are properly preserved for the knowledge of future generations. Now, I really must be going. I regret that I cannot reward you as you deserve.
Perhaps you might reward us after a fashion, then. It is imperative. And seeing as you are already set to descend with your assigned cargo.
I'm afraid that won't be possible. Once the animals have been prepared for transport, I will of course follow after to make my report, but I can hardly pass you off as porter.
Indeed. Pray forget I said anything.
How do you feel about climbing? If you've strength and the courage to brave it, then there is another way down. This path leads to the 33rd facet, a mine shaft excavated during one of our expansions of Labyrinthos. While I cannot guarantee that the passage is safe to traverse, it should provide access to the medial circuit below.
I never even knew such a place existed. Thank you. This is the perfect solution.
You're quite welcome, but consider yourselves warned.
Well, turning back is hardly an option, not when we've come this far. Let's go and take a look at this mine shaft.
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting. She said you would need it for the journey ahead. Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
Thank you. Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest. After Menphilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wished that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you. Take the flower, walk free, for you are free to go where you wish, to believe what you will. That bloom will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow. Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
That was all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out. Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first. So weak and tenuous it was, once I took hold of that wispy thread. Imagine my surprise to discover it was Heidelin herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go. Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts, that unusual flower. Yes, we are definitely making progress.
You can't be serious! We've done nothing wrong!
Master Fortuno? What business has the Forum with us?
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization. We are aware of your investigations. After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archean custodian, a group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
Clandestine? We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge, but the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. and we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
What, then, is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city. As for your absent companion, he has already been detained.
Graha! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
Forgive me. I was careless.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
The Forum will come to order. This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings. Master Fortuner, would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals, dissatisfied with our decision, have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work. They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances, and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front. Was your... Or are you so preoccupied with your Momentous duty of an age-long past, that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention.
Whence came this revelation?
From the mouth of a Forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Then it seems your findings support my own. The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the Forum's policymaking process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent. And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd. From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea. You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
Mind your tongue, Archon. If you had seen...
Yes, we are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission, not through strife and bloodshed, but survival. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Fortuno, I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me. So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the Studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given? No. If we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
Order! We will have order! Master Monteshane raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, I propose we until further notice, the students of Baldessian are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Sharlian. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, Scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.